Hello, my name is Bridget Laird. I'm the CEO of Wings for Kids, and behind me is Adam Pomerantz, our Director of Business Affairs. I'd like to thank you for the opportunity for us to present our business plan to you today. I'd like to start out with telling you a little bit about what Wings is. The easiest way for me to do that is to go ahead and read this first slide to you. Wings is an education program that teaches low-income kids how to behave well, make good decisions, and build healthy relationships. We do this by weaving a comprehensive social and emotional learning curriculum into a fresh, fun after-school program. So it's really a twofer. Kids get the life lessons that they oftentimes miss out on, and they also get a safe place to call home after school. We're facing and tackling a very large problem. 42% of the kids in the United States are low income. And we all know in this room that low-income kids graduate at lower rates and have higher teenage pregnancy and juvenile delinquency rates. And obviously, this is very costly. Our Wings solution begins with our well-developed theory of change, which is backed by national research that says social and emotional education programs increase students' connection to school as well as positive social behaviors, and also increases the likelihood of academic success. 4 years ago, after a failed franchising attempt, we decided to get serious about our theory of change. We brought in Dr. David Hunter, formerly of the Edna McConnell Clark Foundation, and asked him to help us. And basically, he locked us in a room for 2 days and said, what is it that you are trying to achieve with the kids? What outcomes are you going to hold yourselves accountable for? And how are you going to get there? After those 2 grueling days, we decided that kids need 2 years of Wings in order to benefit from our program. When we say 2 years, that's attending every day for 3 hours a day, which amounts to 15 hours a week throughout the school year. We came up with our short-term outcomes, which is kids will have high social and emotional skills. They will begin to, and our intermediate outcome is they'll begin to utilize those skills in everyday life and show a higher attachment to school. And then our long-term, obviously, stay out of jail, avoid teenage pregnancy, and graduate from high school. Each of these outcomes has very specific indicators that fall underneath of it. So we can track yearly, monthly, weekly, and even daily our progress towards our outcomes. We use an online performance management system called Efforts to Outcomes to track this progress. We are very conscious about delivering a codified program at each of our sites. We are in 4 public elementary schools in Charleston, South Carolina. We incorporate 30 social and emotional learning objectives into our curriculum, focusing on 1 objective a week, and those objectives build upon each other throughout the school year. We also have our Wings Creed, which is kid-friendly terms, social and emotional learning in kid-friendly terms. And what that does, it provides our college-age staff the language to use to capitalize on teachable moments as they deliver our program daily. We also are very proud of our training program. Our part-time and full-time staff receive over 65 hours of training, and this is delivered in a variety of ways. So some of it is before they begin the job, and others is on-site coaching that is tailored to their strengths and weaknesses, and we found this to be very effective. We have 5 key program components that are delivered in the same way at each one of our sites. We have always been very serious about evaluation. We've had research done by Yale and University of Virginia, and they found that Wings kids have higher grades and test scores compared to non-Wings kids, and also show higher indicators of attachment to school. In conjunction with our theory of change work 4 years ago, we also developed a 5-year plan. The first portion of this plan really focused on the delivery and codification of our program. So what we did was we grew 1 site per year during this time, and we actually experienced a 300% growth rate during that time. And as we grew, we tracked our internal performance management indicators as well as our outcomes, and we also brought in a team of outside evaluators to do some formative work. They spent time in our programs to ensure that we were maintaining fidelity as we expanded. That team came back with some recommendations. We're capitalizing on those recommendations, and we will conclude that formative work this coming school year, 2011-12. The second half of our plan focused on bringing in an outside researcher so that we can have scientific evidence that what we are doing is working. And we are proud to announce that The Curry School of Education at the University of Virginia has just recently been awarded $2.8 million to launch an impact study on wings. This will be a 4-year study, and it'll be a randomized control trial, which is obviously the gold standard of evaluation. And we will kick that off in 2012, 2013. I'm going to pass this over to Adam, who's going to talk a little bit more about our scaling up plans.
Thank you, Bridget. I'd like to begin by speaking about our target markets. With over 30 million low-income students and ample demand for after-school programming and education programs, I think it almost goes without saying that there's a strong need for wings. What's more important in terms of our long-term financial sustainability has to do with our customers or funders. Private philanthropy is a $300 billion a year industry in the United States. Because we hit on a variety of focus areas, we're able to access approximately $90 billion of those dollars. For example, we fall into the social and emotional learning category, education, out-of-school time learning, youth development, and economic empowerment focus areas. We're also able to access ample government funding, which I'll speak about shortly. As Bridget mentioned, we've been deliberate in our growth in Charleston over the past few years. As you can see, in the next 8, we have a fairly ambitious growth model. In the upcoming year, we're going to begin the due diligence process for a new expansion into a new region. Over the next couple of months, we'll start with 4 regions, vet them thoroughly, and narrow our selection down to 1. In that next time, we'll begin the hiring process for a local regional director, set up a local advisory board, and getting our staff together. We'll also firmly establish our partnerships with our schools and school districts so that by August 2012, we'll be ready to start serving kids in that new region. Over the next 3 years, you can see that we're going to grow 1 new region a year until fiscal year 2016. At that point, we'll have some early results from our impact study. We'll also have documented and established that we can grow year over year into new regions. From there, we believe we'll be able to accelerate growth to 2 regions per year. In order to fund expansion, we anticipate needing between $2.3 and $2.4 million over the next 3 years. This is primarily going to be used to support a portion of the evaluation expenses, to fund the new regions through seed and startup capital, to assist those regions as they become financially sustainable in the long term, and then to grow our overall organizational reserves to maintain the level of quality that we've become accustomed to in the event of funding fluctuations. You can also see presented as our long-term revenue model. I just want to briefly highlight the government portion, especially given the current funding climate that we're all experiencing. Because of our model and that we work within schools, we're able to access local, state, and federal funding opportunities. We have a strong track record of receiving school and school district support, state-level child care vouchers, and then federal funds such as AmeriCorps, Department of Education funding through the 21st Community Learning Center program, and then Department of Juvenile Justice and TAMP funding. I'd like to now turn it back to Bridget to finish up our presentation.
We have been working hard over the past few years building up our organizational capacity, and we are very proud of the leaders that we have in key management positions right now. We also have an extremely strong board of directors, and we have a strong CEO in myself. I've been with Wings for 13 years. I know the ins and outs of the program, as well as the education and nonprofit world. We also recognize when we are weak in certain areas, and one of those areas is our knowledge of research and evaluation. So we've created an evaluation advisory committee who has been helping us. Members of that team include David Hunter and Mike Balin, both formerly of Edna McConnell Clark, as well as Kristen Moore and Karen Walker from Child Trends. We're also in the process of creating an expansion task force so that as we scale up, we have experts to look to and that can advise us. We are a very motivated, driven team, and we are ready to soar to new heights. Thank you, and we'll take questions.